How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm pretty excited because I'm finally going to be able to install some heating and air conditioning in my shop. Let's do some work. This video is brought to you by RLS, original, patented, proven. Diversitech, helping you simplify your work. And by Inficon, providing accurate and reliable tools to HVACR technicians. All right, so just to give you a little bit of backstory on this building, this is a 30 by 40 foot shop. I've got 14-foot walls, and then it goes up to the peak, which I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I spray foam the entire building, roof, walls. The garage doors are insulated, so everything is well insulated in here. As you can see, I went with the metal interior walls. So what I'm thinking here, I'm going to install a 2-zone ductless system. So I'm going to put a high wall right up there, and I'm going to put a high wall right up there. So this is the back side of the building, which is the back side of the property. Condenser is going to go right outside in that back corner right there. So I think that should work out pretty good. I went back and forth on the design and setup of the equipment. If I was going to do a traditional like ducted air handler and do some spiral duct work across the back. But the more I thought about it, the more I just wanted to stick with simplicity. So I went the ductless route. So I actually teamed up here with GE Air and Water, which is the same company as Haier. So that's the equipment here in the States. I've got an 18K high wall, 18K high wall, 3-ton condenser. Of course, these are all the bits and pieces that we're going to be using for, not everything, but most of what we're going to be using. I'm going to be using Speedy Channel for all of the ducting on the outside to hide all of the piping and the wiring. We have surge protector, electrical whip. These are the penetration sleeves. These are pretty nice to go through the wall. Some odd and end stuff here. All the ducting that I'm going to be using is right here. So I've got some 6-inch, a little bit of 3-inch there, but this is all 4-inch right here, and I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm using 3/8 and 1/2-inch is what these systems run. Now, because of the way I'm going to be installing it, high wall here, high wall there, and the condenser's all the way on the corner, what's going to happen is the lines on the outside are going to come down, and it's going to 90 over. That one is going to come down, and because the condenser's on the other side of it, I'm just going to come down into this horizontal piece, have a T-fitting, and then have one shooting over to the condenser with both sets of pipes. So that's the idea. I think 4-inch is going to do just fine because it looks like there's maybe only going to be a couple feet where all 4 pipes are going to be in 1 4-inch, but the rest of it is just going to be 2 pipes. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. I've done it before, having that many pipes in a 4-inch, so I think it's going to work out pretty good. All right, so here's what I'm thinking here. The raised part of this panel is 3/4 of an inch off of the flat part there. So I got some 3/4 inch aluminum tubing here. And what I did is I drilled a hole all the way through for my screw, and then I drilled a bigger hole so that way my chuck can go inside there. And it looks like I need to waller it out even more. So anyway, I'll make those holes bigger, but that's the concept. So I can put my zip through into the metal, and then that's my standoff bracket. And then, so as this is coming down, it'll be flush. All right, so this is the penetration piece that's gonna cover that penetration up there. So what I like to do is go ahead and notch out the back just a little bit right there. That's gonna give me a little bit more wiggle room, especially since that pipe is sticking out just a little bit. But anyway, that just gives me a little bit more room. You could just take some snips and easily cut that, give me some more space. So that'll be the first thing that I need to mount one of these two. So I'll need to mount this up there first, and then that way I have something solid to mount this to, and then we just move on down from there. So
subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel. If you guys like what I'm doing, you enjoying the videos, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. You got it.
You got it too.
Yeah, I got it too, right? So all of that effort is to get that gap from the top all the way down the same to where also that is flush right there. So that looks good. And now we don't have to worry about doing that because it'll ride on these all the way down, and the condenser will be all the way in that corner over there. So only have to put in those spacers on the vertical pieces, so I'll have to do that on the other one coming down as well, but I'm happy with it. I think that looks pretty good.
The shovel. Can I have the shovel?
What, buddy?
I want a shovel.
You think you could get it flat for me? Right here? Huh?
Yeah.
We gotta level out this pad, the ground for this pad right here. We gotta get it nice and flat. It's level. Dude, that's perfect. It didn't need much at all. That's great. So I really like these plastic pads by Diversitech. It's an 18 by 38, 3 inches. So it's perfect design for like the ductless style condensers. So they're super lightweight. They're easy to work with. They got plenty of support underneath. I know some folks ask if they'll sink, and I use these all the time. I use them on normal condensers, package units.
And
these
also
things.
Subscribe.
Huh?
And also subscribe.
Also subscribe. That's right. Okay. So yeah, back to the pad. These things are awesome. I love them. I used to deal with the super heavy pads or even some of those foam pads back in the day, and I hated them. They were horrible. Diversitech has been making pads and just mounts for condensers in general for over 50 years. So they've really nailed it down. Super, super nice. So if you haven't tried out these plastic pads for any type of equipment, I recommend trying them out. I think you're gonna love them. They'll last a long time. Weed eating around it, no problem. So pretty happy about it. All right, so just to move things along, I went ahead and got the other one mounted here and got the line hide coming down. So now I'm just going to add a T-fitting right here. That way they can come straight into the top of it, and then we can extend the 4-inch along here, tied into this condenser. All right, let me show you the difference here. So this right here is the factory cut edge. See how beveled that is? There's no way you're going to be able to fix that with the deburring tool. So that's why I always cut it off. Look at the difference. Look how square that is and flat compared to that end. It's almost like a bullet. So that's why I cut these off. Now, when you're using your tubing cutters, you just barely tighten as you're going around and tighten it at different spots around the copper. So you're not tightening on the same spot every time. And just barely tighten as you're going around. The slower that you go, and the longer it takes you to cut it, the less bevel that you're going to get, and it's a lot easier to remove that inner rolled over piece with your deburring tool. So when you're flaring, take your time, you get a nice square, even cut. Sweet. What I really like about this speedy channel by Diversitech is all the different fittings that you can get. So right here I've got a T fitting, wall penetration up there, all the couplings obviously that you can use. Long sweep 90s. I even have fittings that can wrap around the building. So it's a 90 fitting that goes around the corner. But anyway, 6-inch, 4-inch, 3-inch, like anything that you need, it just looks really good. Even on an application like this, where you've got the metal, which is not flat, so it's kind of hard to work with. And this stuff is rigid enough to where it looks really good, but it's not too rigid to where it's actually still pretty easy to put together. That to me, that's a big deal, because some other brands that I've used in the past, they were very finicky and hard to put together and hard to take apart if you needed to take them apart for whatever reason. So anyway, the speedy channel stuff. It's really good, really like it, and it looks really nice. Now folks, you don't want to try this at home, and you shouldn't be doing this at a job site. You should get the proper ladder, scaffolding, whatever you need for the job to be safe. This is my shop, so I'm going to take the risk. So that's looking pretty good there. The condenser fits that plastic pad perfectly, which I really like. But I want to give it a little bit more protection, get it up off the ground a bit more. Here in Tennessee, we don't really get much snow at all, but we do get a little bit of flooding back here, just a little bit. And I just want to have some extra precautions there. So I've got these hefty foots by Diversitech here. These things, it comes in a kit like this, and what you're going to get is 2 of the feet, if you will. This is solid rubber, and they're designed to fit this pad perfectly, as you can see. So it's the same width as the pad, and it comes with all the hardware that you're going to need to slide it in the channel and then bolt the condenser down. That way you get a little bit more height to it. So looks like, yeah, so they're right at 18 inches long, and that's what the pad is, right? The pad is 18 by 38. And then this is gonna give you about 4 inches height. And then this is 3 inches. So that'll give me 7 inches off the ground. I'm happy with that. So Diversitech offers a pre-made electrical whip. So this one is a 1/2 inch seal tight. It's got number 10 wire, so it's ready to go. It has all the connectors already on the seal tight, a 90 fitting and a straight fitting. It even comes with the little bushings too. That way if you have to adapt to a 3/4 inch hole, it already comes with everything you need, which is pretty nice. You can get a 3/4 seal tight, which comes with number 6 wire, I believe. These are 6 foot long, so that pretty much covers you for your standard whip from the disconnect down to the equipment. And then also surge protector. It's good to have one on anything that's inverter based, and they have one in their lineup as well. So we're gonna go ahead and get all this stuff installed. If you haven't pretty much noticed with this video, Diversitech offers a lot of stuff. They have a massive catalog, so they pretty much got you covered on anything that you're gonna need when you're doing an install. I'll leave a link down in the description for you to their catalog, so that way you can check it out, order some stuff for yourself. It really does bring up the level of your installs, makes things look good, and at the end of the day, we want good quality parts to go along with our good quality equipment and the good quality install. So it all comes together. Anyhow, check out the link down below, and check out their catalog. They got a lot of cool stuff. So one thing about the Diversitech disconnect that they offer, knocking out these knockouts are pretty easy. I've had some in the past, other brands that are a nightmare, and it's almost impossible to knock out the exact size that you're looking for. You end up knocking the whole thing out, and then you got to get bushings for it. So, I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that. So I got to do a 1/2 inch on this side, 3/4 on that side, because that's where the surge protector is going to go. Just enough room for the 1/2 inch seal type to come on down. So that should work out nicely. All right, so both of our line sets are 1/4 and 1/2 inch. And on this machine, you have A, B, and C ports. The D port is the only 1/2 inch, and the rest of them are 3/8 and 1/4. So what I gotta do is I gotta reduce the 1/2 inch down to 3/8 to connect that on the C port. So what I'm gonna do, I've got some RLS fittings here. This is a 1/2 inch coupling, and then this is a 1/2 inch to 3/8 reducer. So this is like a bell reducer. No, maybe it's a bell reducer. I'm not sure what it's called exactly, but basically this is 1/2 inch copper right there, and then it reduces down to a 3/8 coupling. So what I'm going to do is use the 1/2 inch coupling, press that onto that fitting there, and then I'm going to cut some 3/8 copper to press into this fitting, and then I'll flare this side to connect to the machine. And then that's a nice clean way of reducing from 1/2 inch down to 3/8. And we only have 1, 2, 3 presses, and then a flare fitting on this side. So that's going to work out nicely. You know, you could get a 1/2 inch to 3/8 reducer and just, you know, braze that connection, which is totally fine, but you'll have to purge nitrogen and all of that. I've got the RLS system, I've got the fittings. So this is a nice, quick, easy way to do what you got to do. Man, I love it. Of course, we can check with our guide and make sure it fits on there right. So we're good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the machine. I'm going to torque it down, and then I'm going to cut and connect the 1/2 inch. Take a little bit of nylog and put just a little bit on the threads. And I like to put a little bit on the back side of the bell of the flare. That's going to allow it to spin freely without any friction, which ultimately allows me to torque this to a lower setting, which is always better. You can put some on the face, but I don't. I just put a little bit on the threads, a little bit on the back side, and it's always worked very well for me. So get this where I want it. There we go. Whenever you're deburring, you want to make sure the copper is tilted downwards so all the shavings fall right out. All right, so while we're pressure testing, I'm going to check the integrity of the oil, and we do that by just pulling a vacuum on the machine itself and checking the microns, seeing if it gets down where it needs to be. I would say anywhere below, you know, 30 or 40 microns, and then we know the oil is going to be good. And that's really the only way to know if your oil is in good shape. You can't physically look at it, it could look clean, but we want to check it with the micron gauge. All right, so on this vacuum pump here, this port is a 1/2 inch port. This is a 3/8, that's a 3/8, and that's a 1/4 inch. Both hoses are 3/4 inch diameter, and they both go down to 1/4 inch to the machine. So what I like to do is hook up the 1/2 inch side to your largest port, which is typically your vapor line. And then the 3/8 I'll hook up to the smaller, which is typically your liquid line. That way you've got the biggest connection going to the biggest size tubing. All right, while that's doing a decay test, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to weigh the refrigerant in. So, just to give you a little bit of context, normally, a system like this is already pre-charged. I believe this one can go up to like 230 feet of line. So normally it would have plenty of refrigerant for this entire setup, but I had this unit installed in my house and I had decided that this would be a better fit out here at the shop, and I went with something different in the house. So when I uninstalled the system, I just pulled all the refrigerant out and I just used it whenever I charged that other system. But so that way I could weigh in the factory charge on this system, and I'll know that it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. It'll be perfect. So a little bit of backstory, that's the reason why I'm doing all this. But so yeah, all I got to do now is weigh in 102 ounces of refrigerant. As long as this decay test looks good, which it looks great, so I think I'm ready to go. All right, you can't get much better than that. Right on the dot. Awesome. All right, so the valves are already open because I pulled the vacuum on the entire condenser and everything. So this thing is ready to put the cores back in, get the power turned on, get it fired up. One thing cool about this set of scales here by Inficon, I like that it comes with this large case, because the only way to get a proper, precise measurement is to have a solid foundation where you're actually setting your scales. So like out here on the ground, if it's kind of uneven or soft grass, you won't get a good accurate reading. But because this has a big footprint, that's going to help you have a proper reading. But if you didn't want it, you could just take this out like that. If you were on concrete or on the unit itself, which is nice. So you've got some flexibility there, but I do like the bigger case for that reason. All right, so really the only thing I have left is to finish off these drain lines. And what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dig a hole right here and put one of those 4-inch landscaping drain pipes, that black corrugated drain pipe, probably about 1 foot into the ground, and then fill it with gravel. That way the water will drain directly into that. It won't create like a puddle or anything or mud right here. I'll do that on both of them, but not today. All right, so we are fully functional. Man, I'm excited. This has been a long time coming. Finally getting some heating and air in the shop. Now it's just time to get all this cleaned up and organized again, because I had a lot of all those shelves were against these walls right here, and I moved them all out of the way so I can install the high walls. But anyway, I got to get everything cleaned up, organized, because this is a hot mess and I just can't handle it. Anyway, pretty stoked about all this. Now, if you guys have any questions about the install, the products, the tools that I'm using, if you're interested in buying any of the tools that you see that I'm using, I'll leave affiliate links down in the description. So click on those, feel free to use those and buy the tools that you need. It helps the channel out, and I definitely appreciate that. So also, Diversitech Catalog, check that out too, because tons and tons and tons of tools and products to be able to do these installs, right? To make them look amazing, to perform amazing, and you just gotta have the right stuff for the job. So click the link, check out the catalog. I think you'll really enjoy all the different products that they have to offer. But now it's just time for me to clean up, organize, and start enjoying the shop. So hope you guys got something out of this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, see you later.